Hello, it's Dan the Real Estate Guy coming to you from my home office once again, and today I made a brief list of what I think you need to succeed. I know a lot of you are out there watching the videos, you saw the introduction, you saw what I've done, and you're not sure if you have what it takes, all right? You're just not sure. You're already wondering about the money, all that stuff. Let me tell you, I made a list and it's not real long. You know, you don't need a lot to make it in this business. You're going to have to put out a lot of effort over time, but heck, lots of things take effort. They don't all reward you the way real estate can reward you when you do things right, okay? Because you're handling a big ticket item. You could be real good at something that pays a lot less, or you could get yourself real good at real estate, which will have to pay you a little bit more. You make a 12 to 15% margin on a small ticket item, it's not a lot of money. You make a 12 to 15% margin on a large item, it adds up. You do a lot of them and it adds up quick, all right? So all you really need, I have a short list here. I think the first thing is just a good attitude. You know, everyone I meet in real estate that's successful, they have a positive outlook and they're solution oriented. They can't tell you why something doesn't work, they tell you why it does work. All right? They find a way around things, through things, under them, over them, but they don't really take no for an answer much. And you'll see that's kind of a common theme among folks who make money in real estate is they solve problems. They don't even look at them as problems. It's just a situation, and there's always a solution. So you need to have a good attitude. At the same time, don't get too high when you get an offer accepted because it can fall apart, right? We have a saying in real estate, it's not closed till it's closed, right? Don't get too low when you have things fall apart on you or you get a bad tenant or whatever happens. Just realize it's important to keep a good attitude, keep an even keel, and know what you're doing, right? Learn, build your knowledge, and know that in the long run, you're going to keep making good decisions, you're going to keep solving problems, and you're going to be okay. Desire is the next one, and maybe I should have put that first. Anytime you're in any kind of industry that requires you to solve problems and be challenged, you need to have a desire. If you don't have something that you want out of life, that you want out of real estate, that you desire, whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's helping other people, you just have to have that desire. That'll get you through the rough times. That'll get you started. Some folks are having trouble getting started. You need to have desire just to get started. You know, I had things in mind. I had hopes. I had dreams. You know, I wanted to provide for my family. If you heard the story about my first transaction, things went wrong, but I just kept going on, all right, because I had that desire. The next thing, and also extremely important, is the willingness to learn. I am still amazed today by how many people I meet that think they know real estate when they don't. I don't know what it is about real estate. I guess it's because people live in it, right? They live in a house, they live in a condo, they live in an apartment building, whatever. They, for some reason, maybe they've done one transaction. They bought a house, they live there in a hot market, they got a job transfer, they sold it at a big profit, and all of a sudden they're a real estate investor. I don't even get the mentality even a little bit. You know, when you do hundreds and thousands of deals, hundreds, and they add up to over 1,000, you'll get after a time that you really aren't knowledgeable in real estate until you've done probably 100 transactions. Now you've got something. Now you've got something that will propel you through almost any situation. But until then, you really don't know anything. I mean, I meet people all the time that think they're real estate investors, and I'm quite certain that I forgot more about real estate than they know, all right? And it's getting in their way. I see it getting in their way that they're not willing to learn. So no matter where you are in real estate right now, whether you read a book or 2 or 10, keep an open mind. You know, some of the stuff I do, realtors don't know. If they knew, they'd probably be doing this, right? I have people tell me all the time, well, my friend's a realtor, so he's going to help me do that thing that you do. Well, they don't understand this part of the business. When I know because I was a realtor. When I left that part, everybody thought I was crazy. But I'm telling you, for me, from my personality, from my dreams, from my goals, this is far better. You know, the first year I left listing and selling, I went from doing 35 to 44 deals a year to only doing maybe 13. Made more money and had happier clients with those 13 transactions than I did working as a realtor. Why? Because I was a seller on every one of them. I was in control. all right? I got to make sure everybody was winning. Much better than trying to convince someone they should let somebody win. So you have to have that willingness to learn. Doesn't matter where you are in the real estate world at the moment. When you watch my videos, I want you to keep an open mind and be willing to learn. All right? It's very, very important. How about a solid idea of what you want to achieve? In my recommendation video, I told you. In my promises and recommendation, you can watch it again if you need to. I told you what I recommended. But you really need to, as you gather your general information, especially if you're brand new, think about what it is that attracted you to real estate to begin with. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to make a lot of money? Right? Are you trying to generate a lot of positive cash flow per month with keepers? Are you trying to generate a lot of income from buying and selling properties? Are you interested in doing both? How about defining it? Do you need an extra $1,000 a month, or is $5,000 really what you're looking for? Whatever it is, I'm encouraging you to just jot it all down. You know, I may have mentioned before, having goals in your head isn't good enough. You need to write them out. You need to think about them. You need to review them every day. All right? It's okay to make changes as you go, as you learn more, but you really have to decide what it is you're trying to achieve here. Next thing you're going to need is just a little bit of time. I know some of you are very, very busy, but I'm thinking that at the beginning even if you are busy, you can watch a video that lasts 7 to 20 minutes. You know, 7 to 10, there's some that are 20, there's some that are 25. I think the longest ones are going to be in the 30, 35-minute range. You know, it's not going to be that often that we have a video that lasts a really long time. We're trying to break this into blocks for you so that you can learn it, you can watch it and digest it throughout the day. Even if you're busy, can you get to your computer for 30 minutes in the morning, watch 1 or 2 videos, then go off on your busy day? Because if you can, some of that information is going to rattle around inside that head of yours, and you're going to be interrupted sometimes by some great ideas. You're going to think they came from nowhere. But that's not how the brain works. They came because you showed your brain what it is you want to do, what it is you want to achieve. You reviewed your goals. Maybe you do it every morning. I used to review mine every morning and every night. You review your goals, watch a couple videos, off on your busy day. Perhaps before you go to bed at night, good to give your brain more to work on while you're sleeping, right? So maybe you watch another video or 2. So I'm just asking you to have a little bit of time to do the training and a little bit of time to do the homework. We're going to give you some homework. We're going to have to go out in the field and learn things about your market. We're going to make it very target oriented. We're going to give you some questions to ask. We're going to tell you who to ask them. All right? We're going to try to speed up the process for you than if you were just guessing on your own like I did. When I was new, I didn't have someone showing me the ropes. I kind of guessed my way along. All right? I'm convinced today if I had someone like me when I was 24 years old, if I'd had this program, I would have got here in half of the time, or I would have went twice as far. Not sure which, doesn't really matter. My point is, it would have been far more efficient. Because I could write 2 books right now. I could write the one on what works, it's a lot thinner, than writing a book on what doesn't work. All right? I had to try some of the stuff that doesn't work. We're going to try to keep you focused so you don't have to try that stuff. We'll show you some mistakes that you can avoid. So just have a little time. The next thing would be basic computer skills. I have a feeling if you found us on the internet and you joined up, you already have all the skills you need. You need to be able to go to the site, watch the videos. You need to understand Google, because I'm going to give you some things to Google for your area. That's easy. You can do that. You probably already do email. I mean, most people have all the basics, so you're going to need that. The next thing you're going to need to develop, if you don't already have it, that is, you're going to have to become a good communicator. All right? You're going to have to understand these concepts well enough that you can communicate with other people in the industry. You learn the language of real estate. You know, I often joke that I only speak a little bit of English, but I speak a lot of real estate. Over the 25 years, sometimes I forget how much I've picked up. And I've been having conversations with some people before where I realize at the end of the conversation, they say, well, what was equity again? And that was the whole point of it, is you need equity to do these deals. Someone who's upside down owes more than the property's worth, doesn't have any equity. You really can't do anything with that property. You might be able to buy it from a lender after they own it for below market value, but you can't buy it before that. right? So I'll be rattling around, along with someone, enjoying my real estate conversation with them when I realize they might have been using some terms they never heard of. So we're going to ask you to develop that, ability to communicate, understand these concepts well enough to be able to communicate them to others. Why? One big reason is once you have a systematic way of working this business and you're ready to do that first transaction, you figure out what works in your area, you're probably going to need to raise capital. We're going to teach you how to raise capital, but you can't raise capital if it doesn't sound like you know what you're doing, if you can't communicate to others. And some of you are worried about this right now. Don't worry about it. As you pick this stuff up, I'm convinced you'll get excited about it, you'll rewatch some of the videos, you'll read a few books, you'll be on speed to where you could explain the concept to somebody that perhaps could be your money person or people. You might need more than one. All right, we'll explain that later. But if you can find a great transaction and you can communicate your plan, how you need to fund it, how you need to borrow the money, how they're going to be protected, how they're going to get paid back, those are all communication skills. All right, you need to be able to communicate that. The next thing you need is patience. I remember when I was young, when you're young, patience is harder, right? As you get older, you realize everything takes time. But I remember after owning 3 properties, or actually at the time I think I owned 2, and I was looking for number 3. I was a little discouraged, I was a little impatient, but you have to stick with your formula. If you let a deal come together that didn't quite fit just because you're not being patient, it could end up being bad for you. One of the things you might hear in the real estate world is sometimes the best deal you do is the one you didn't do. It didn't fit. If you had forced it, you'll regret it. And I know that any deal I forced that was close to my parameters but not quite there, I usually regretted it after I did it, I usually regretted it. So be patient. Patience is the ability to endure waiting. Sometimes acting, but not getting the result that you want, and you're waiting for that result. And you're working towards that result. And sometimes it tests you, right? So you have to be patient. The next thing is discipline. Goes right along with that patience. If you're disciplined, you're not going to force one of those transactions. You're going to say, that one was close. That was really close. If it was 5,000 lower, I probably could do it. If it needed 5,000 less in work, I probably could do it. If it didn't need a roof, it would have made it. You're going to find some that were close, but you got to stand back and let that go. You have to have the discipline to understand that it's better not to do that transaction. And it's tough sometimes. But I think patience and discipline kind of go together, and they can help make you successful. The last thing I put on the list is the heart of a champion. You can't let things get you discouraged. Have you ever watched the Olympics and heard some of the stories behind the competitors? I mean, some of them have beat the odds big time. Some of them have incredible stories of triumph, but lots of tribulations along the way. Lots of failures along the way. You've heard the stories. You've heard the story about Babe Ruth, big home run hitter, but also holds the record for strikeouts. We don't think about that. But he just kept getting up to the plate. That's the heart of a champion, all right? And you get tested in this business. Heck, if it was easy and you never got tested, don't you think it would be a little more crowded than it is right now? I mean, you're not going to bump into that many people out in the field that know what you know and how to put together a deal the way you know. Once you've gone through all of our videos and all of our transactions and listened and learned, you're going to become an expert that's fairly rare, all right? And one of the reasons it's rare is the folks without the heart of a champion generally don't make it, all right? I believe we all have it. We're humans. I'm human. I'm not Superman. If I did it, you can do it. So it's there. How do you tap into it? That's more the question. How do you tap into that heart of a champion? You need to be in touch with that. You need to understand. It doesn't really matter. Once you've decided that you're going to get something done, you need to have the attitude that it's done. The only thing is the time hasn't passed yet. So if you have a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan, you're there. It just hasn't happened yet because the time hasn't passed. And you'll get really good at setting goals, breaking it down, and getting there. All right? That's what you have to have in real estate. So just to kind of recap, You just have to have a good attitude. You have to want and need to succeed, all right? You have to have desire. You have to have that willingness to learn. Don't be the know-it-all that thinks he already knows because he did 3 deals. Forget that. Check your ego at the door, all right? You have to have a solid idea of what it is you're trying to accomplish. I mean, how are you going to hit a target if you don't have a target? You're just going to shoot randomly? All right, so get yourself a target. It's okay if you change it. Some people say, I don't want to set that goal because it's going to change. No, set the goal. Go ahead and set the goals. You can change them. You're allowed to change them. You can change them every week if you want, as long as they're not too different. You won't confuse your brain, right? Okay? You need basic time to learn and computer skills. You need the ability to communicate with folks, and don't worry if you don't have it now. It'll come. It'll come. Just patience, discipline, and finally the heart of a champion. If you've got all that, and you've got my program, and you're paying attention and you're working this program, as we say, and doing the homework, you're going to improve your future. The only question is, by how much? It's really up to you. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video.